This, right? You see this? They were taught the 47 degrees of Zionism. And they took on the identity of being Zionists, being leavened Jews. But they are not those people. They're not us. Now they're in America, right? Controlling all the programs, whether it be athletics, whether it be agriculture, whether it be housing. They're controlling all of the programs. They're over the Native Americans. These people are controlling everything that you see happening in America right now. They're controlling it. Look, they're in our city. They're in our cities. You go to the Northeast, you see them in Brooklyn. You go to the Northeast, you see them in Boston. They're in our cities. You see them in Harlem. They were promised Israel, right? But as you can see, they didn't go back. They're still here in America. They didn't go back to Israel, which was formerly called what? Palestine. They're still here in America reaping from the resources that's given by the programs. I think the guy who's over the Chicago Bulls operation, the NBA, I think he's a Zionist. I think the guy who's over the NBA commissionership, I think he's a Zionist. And then you got our people, right, who are the true Zionists, right? Zion Williamson, which means pure, don't go outside your race. Zion means pure, don't go outside your race. And what are what are the people doing who have this name Zion, right? They're getting tipsy with everything that's floating around that's not them. I look at this, man, I look at this image, and the only thing I can think of is just like, wow, they got us. They got us. This was not supposed to be. This was not supposed to be. These people don't want to take DNA tests. They don't want to show like, okay, what are the haplogroups? Where does that DNA say who they are? Like, what does it say that they're from? Um, I think like when you look at our people and you see us, right? They quickly throw us into the pool of being Pan-African, right? They quickly throw us into that pool, which we're fine with, right? We're fine with it, some of us. And you see them, right? Well, we know their history, right? They came from the Caucasus Mountains, but their DNA will automatically put them in Israel or Palestine. It automatically puts them there. Our DNA doesn't automatically put us in America, even though we've been here for the past 400 years. So you can quickly see that there's some lying happening. There's some trickery going on. You know, there are some advances happening. There's some stories being told. You know, the story of Zionism is all too true to me, right? Because my grandfather, his first name is Hezekiah, and his last name is Early, right? Many other people who are in the genre of country and pop know him because he's very popular on the internet. So like when you see like the last name Early, right? And you see that it's Hebrew, given the fact that it has an E and an L in it, right? Which means God. God, Early, God. Or meaning birth. And Hezekiah, right? Meaning son. So I see this, right? And I just think to myself, like, how did they take our identity? Like, how did they take our identity? And then I look at the people who are the example of what it means to be pure, right? The Jawa, the Sentinelese, the Orange, the Adam and Eve. I look at these people, right? And I say, oh, they're small people, which means they didn't mix with giants. You know what I mean? And then I see them and I see how they sit in the sun. They're not waiting on anything. They just sit in the sun. They live in the sun. And I see them and I say, it makes sense. It makes sense. What does that DNA say who they are? Like, what does that DNA say about them? Is it going to say that they're from Kenya? Like, what is that DNA going to say? Because those prototypes, right, those people, they're still in Kenya, even though that they may be on that island off of India. Some of their people are still in Kenya. You know, they carry that M haplogroup. But this image, and I have to say this: I don't think they are the real Jews. I don't think these people are the real Zionists. How can you be a Zionist and you're in someone else's country when you have your own country? How can you be a Zionist? You're willingly mixing with people who don't carry your ideals or your beliefs, and these people are oppressed. I'm oppressed. I can't just walk outside because somebody else's political ideas is going to affect me. I don't have a second place that I can go to without a passport, without a visa. You know what I mean? Like, I'm caught up in this system. And I have, I say this because, right, next Wednesday, I have a court appearance on a Zoom call with the county probate court. And it's going to be for my my AOT expiring. Because once you get so many hospitalizations, they start to say this person is a risk to themselves and they need extra outpatient care. That's what they try to make it seem like, right? Um, and the person who they have speaking for me, right? The attorney, right? He just happens to be one of these people here. So I had to talk about this. You know, I had to talk about it. And you know me, I come on there, I show my map, my DNA and everything. It doesn't matter because they don't care about it. Um, I show everything, right? And it doesn't matter to them. You know, it doesn't matter to them. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna have my map up. I'm gonna show who I am. It's probably not gonna be my true ancestry. It may be, but I want to put up my ancestry.com map, so I can let them see I'm Benin. Benin people, they don't like outsiders. You know, a lot of people, they know this. The Benin people don't like outsiders because that's what the Dahomey Empire is. The Dahomey Empire is where they kind of like fought off racism and kind of fought off superialism and fought off white supremacy. The Benin Empire of Dahomey, you know. So like to me, I don't know, man. Like to me, like I'm really tired of like seeing our people get thrown under the bus for other people's political motivations. Like I'm really tired of it. You know, like I'm really tired of it. Like I'm really tired of it, man. Cause like we have to fight. We have to fight, like continue to fight for our identity. And it's like every time we create a new identity or get an identity that we had from the past, it's made a mockery of. And other people try to come along and steal it. You know? Like it's people calling us pretendians. It's people calling us Pan Africans. You know what I mean? Like it's people calling us Jews. You know what I'm saying? Like this is our history. And people are making a fun of it. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that. But I had to say this because like, you know, these are people who just come from the mountains of Europe, who come from the caves of Europe. They're not the real Jews. Like sure, they found themselves wandering, right? They found themselves wandering because they didn't know who they were, right? And they had to find out like who they were and they had to so I get it from that perspective, but we already know that can take on a whole exemplary for itself in black people. You know what I mean? Like I don't think these people should be speaking directly. I don't think they should be speaking directly to us. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think that should be the case. You know, because once you give them a leg in, right, they try to become you. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that. The whole thing that we just fought for, saying like, oh, we were brought here on slave ships, we were brought here on boats. That's the worst suffrage ever. It's worse of suffrage than these people are claiming to be. But they're gonna claim that history one day as well. They're gonna claim that they were brought over here 400 years ago on slave ships, and that probably is their history. That's what I'm saying. That probably is their history. I wouldn't doubt it at all. I wouldn't doubt it at all if that was their real history. You know, and this is not hate mongering. This is not antagonism. This is not antagonizing. Um, this is not antagonory. However you want to pronounce that word, antagonory. Um, this is just being honest. You know, great piece.